Welcome to another episode of Just Cuz, the podcast where two cousins talk about things they love.
Just Cuz, and today we are going to take a step back from specific TV shows and movies, but TV shows, and talk about the streaming era of television.
We will poke at some TV shows, maybe some others that we've loved, some others that have done things phenomenally that we'll point out, but overall this is just this new streaming age and maybe why we don't like it.
At this point it's not so new, but we just watched, I just made Max watch
Yes.
a video that Adam Conover recently put out about how TV, that streaming is the death of TV.
Right.
And it really hits on some points that resonated with us.
And there are some points that I haven't even thought about, and hopefully we're not just regurgitating those ideas, but I
we'll
think
have something
we'll
new
have
to offer.
plenty more to discuss. Because mainly, I guess, just of those new ideas, I'd never considered advertising as a necessity in TV. Because whenever a streaming show would put in ads alongside it, like Amazon was doing, and I didn't know that Netflix was talking about doing, but
they've already started with their password sharing lockdown that they recently did. They added 2 new tiers, so you can have Netflix for $7.99 a month with ads.
Okay.
All of Netflix. You can have one other plan. I don't know exactly what it is, and then I think it's probably like the 1 or 2 screens, but without ads, and then you can have the full family 4 screen with ads, and then but that's only within your set Wi-Fi network. And so if you want to add other Wi-Fi networks to use it under, you would have to add an additional $8.99 subscription onto your existing subscription.
As soon as they made that, where if you're in a different Wi-Fi network, then you have to use a different subscription,
It's crazy. It's whatever device it is. You would still be able to watch Netflix. You're still able to watch Netflix on your phone, because whatever device you have, it has to connect to your home, quote unquote, home Wi-Fi network within a month. So if it's been a month and you haven't been home, then your Netflix will stop working.
So college students who were away for a semester,
their parents have to pay another $8.99 to let them have Netflix there. Or if you have a second house or a Wi-Fi network, whatever, you have to pay another.
And that's just so ridiculous. It wasn't thought out. Netflix is just trying to make as much money back as they can because they've lost all of it.
Well, the thing is, I think it was thought out. I think it was extremely thought out, and it just seems like to us that they just tacked it on, but it feels like something that has been coming for a while.
Right.
Because
I just wish it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, like we've just learned from our friend Adam Conover. He's not our friend, we don't know him, but we would love to be friends, Adam.
Yes, if you're listening.
But advertising is integral to television as it was on cable. And I took, when I was in college, I took a class called The History of TV. And it was called How to Watch TV, but it was basically the history of TV.
Just going through the
timeline. And within that's where I learned about the different channel distributions and how they how the different networks created different channels, and why those channels had ads, why they had these certain time slots, why they had the TGI Fridays, remember all those things that
weird events that just happened,
TV events and stuff that would get people talking and get people wanting to watch TV. It would it all has to do with ads. It all has to do with finding the specific market they want to target and making specific products for those people. And that's not happening anymore because streaming services, the goal of streaming services is to appeal to everyone, or that was Netflix's goal. And the Netflix model has been adopted by all of the other
all the other
networks,
companies that have aped them. And just the whole idea of, we're going to give you prestige television and you can have it at your fingertips wherever, whenever, and you can watch it all the time if you want. Like, that whole idea, I love it. I love being able to binge stuff, but it is so detrimental to getting stuff off the ground sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what's happening in Hollywood now is that, like, so much less television is being made, so many less people are being hired. There are specific projects are not being made for specific audiences. Like, Netflix, what's the biggest thing that's on Netflix? Probably Love is Blind or whatever.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know, but it's not
I feel like the biggest thing on Netflix was The Office when they had it.
Right. No, I mean, I'm thinking of Netflix originals.
Oh, right.
Like
Netflix originals.
No. Things that are the biggest on Netflix are reruns of things that have already come out. Suits. How I Met Your Mother just got on Netflix. Friends. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The Office. Right. Every big, The Office and Parks and Rec are now on Peacock, but whatever. Those are the big things on streaming. That's what brings in the numbers.
What Netflix original show or movie has brought in viewers? Like, wasn't Fincher's The Killer eventually a Netflix movie, but that didn't bring people in?
Absolutely no idea. I don't know what words you just said. No, things that have been like the big hits were Stranger Things, were things that had mass market appeal, that had broad appeal.
And honestly, that is probably not a great transition to the next point, because we have so many other things to talk about just with that. But Stranger Things is massive, and it got so much word of mouth, but it would have been done so much better if it was a weekly release.
Yes. Weekly releases are another thing that has, largely gone by the wayside. Not completely. Lots of streaming services are still doing weekly releases, like Max. And Max the streaming service,
yes,
not Max the person. And
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Prime is doing those. But only for some shows, not for all of them.
Right. Sometimes they just drop it as if they're trying to put it out by the wayside.
And, like, when that happens, you're so excited for the show and all the advertising is there, and then you watch it, and then it's gone from the zeitgeist in 36 hours, 72 hours, whatever. It's gone. When Good Omens 2 dropped, Good Omens 2 was so fucking good. And it was great. And so many people were excited for it. And they dropped it all at once, and it was completely forgotten by the next
after a week. Yeah. And just another example of Amazon specifically, but Rings of Power is coming out week to week, and I think that's going to do a lot better because of it. But, God, there was another Amazon show that I was just thinking of. Fallout. Fallout was incredible, but it was all dropped at once.
Dropped all at once. I didn't even watch it because it all dropped at once. I was ready. I queued it up, and I was like, I'm going to watch the first episode of Fallout. It's going to be great. And then I saw that the whole season was there, and I was like, I don't have time to watch a full season right now. So I didn't watch it, and I never did. And that sucks. Yeah.
Because it was fantastic. It was the same team as that did Westworld.
I know. I know it was good. I just haven't watched it.
And maybe when a second season comes out, it'll drum up more excitement. But right now, no one is thinking about it.
If a second season comes out. I know it probably will for Fallout because it was had a very big release. But there are lots and lots of shows that were incredibly good and successful, but they weren't all binged the first month that they came out, and so they've been axed, like The Acolyte.
Yes.
It's time to talk about The Acolyte. Loved The Acolyte, okay? Lots of people didn't like it, but I did.
We have an episode about it. Go listen to that, but I think my biggest takeaway was The Acolyte wasn't perfect, but it should have deserved a second season. There's just to let that story breathe.
So many things.
I also loved the action.
More time. One of my favorite shows ever, Sense8, was canceled after its second season. When it had so much more to go. It was lucky, and it had a dedicated fan base and got brought back to do a movie that closed out the storylines. But that's not how anyone wanted the show to finish.
No, it deserved more.
It deserved more time. So many things do. What was that other one that was canceled recently? And it was really good.
What streaming?
Fuck, I don't know. There's too many of them.
Was it superhero related?
I don't know. I don't know. Move on. I'll think of it later.
I think a good point to also talk about, and we're bouncing around, but just the fact that we have this prestige era of television where we have movie length episodes, but then there's only 8 episodes a season.
Yeah.
And I'm really thinking of Severance right now. I don't know why, but
Severance was so good, and it came out 3 fucking years ago, and no one's heard from it since. I know there was a pandemic, but
there is a trailer for the 2nd season, and it's coming soon. But why?
Yeah.
Why is so much time taken?
So much
for
time
the 2nd season
between seasons. Everyone was all up in arms because Bridgerton was after this big release from Bridgerton season 3, even though they made us wait a month between the first half and the second half of season 3, which made no fucking sense because the story was a complete story and it made no sense cut in half, and it made people think they hated the season even though they fucking didn't, because it made sense if you watched it all together. God damn it. Okay. Sorry. but everyone was up in arms because Bridgerton season 4 isn't going to come out for 2 years. And everyone's like, we have to wait that long? Why? TV shows used to go on a 6-month break and then be back to do the next season. And
they would run all year.
It's not even just sitcoms and low budget television. Game of Thrones was the biggest show on television, and it had a season every fucking year.
Yep.
Every year, Game of Thrones was coming out.
Yep.
Except for the last season, because they made us wait 2 years for that one. And boy, was it not a good wait. Boy, was it not worth it.
Really worth the wait there.
Jesus. Don't even get me started. But and at the very least, House of the Dragon is doing the same. Last year there was a season of House of the Dragon. This year there was a season of House of the Dragon. Hopefully we'll get another one next year.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Because, what we talked about last week, Interview with the Vampire, that's probably not going to come out till 2026 for their season 3. And because there was a 1.5 year wait between season 1 and 2.
And how many fans are going to drop off in that time? That's so sad to think about, but it's the reality.
It leaves too long between time when your show is airing for audiences to forget about your show, especially when it's dropped all at once in a binge model.
Yep.
Stranger Things, it feels like a million years since Stranger Things. I know season 4 came out kind of recently, but since that was 2 years ago.
Do you remember how it ended? I sure don't.
I do, but I have a crazy memory.
This is a strange
Max
tangent,
was in the hospital, and the Vecna had made the whole
he
town had tentacles running through it in 4 different directions, and then the bus with the pizza guys from California came on their pizza bus, and then Argyle just left,
and then the bully was split open. That was cool,
right? Whatever, but it doesn't matter. We're not talking about Stranger Things, but since Stranger Things season 3, it feels like 10,000 years since then.
Right.
And they're only going into season 5. It should be every year. These kids are now too old to play kids.
Oh my god, they're 20s. They're in their 20s.
One of them just got married.
Yeah. This is insane. It's the whole concept of you cast someone young and then you watch them grow old, like the Harry Potter cast, but we're never going to do that.
They had a movie almost every year.
Yeah.
Well, they had movies almost every year. I think the only one that had a multiple year wait between them was the 3rd movie, and you can tell because they look way older.
Yeah, and because it looks so much better.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, the first 2 don't look bad, but
they're just different vibes.
But it's just Alfonso Cuarón.
Anyway, it's this streaming model of television. It doesn't just hurt television. I mean, it hurts television a lot.
It really does.
Because the amount of television that we're getting is so far peeled back and so far removed from specific audiences. you have to have different subscriptions to specific things just to get like different channels, like what we used to be able to flick through the channels and get whatever we wanted because there was advertisements. Right. But now if I want to watch a game show, I have to subscribe to Dropout. But if I want to watch if I want to watch one of my favorite sitcoms, I have to subscribe to Peacock. If I want to watch House of the Dragon, I have to subscribe to HBO Max or Max. And if I want to watch Stranger Things, I have to subscribe to Netflix. And
everyone has to have a dozen different subscriptions.
Everyone has to have every single one of them, or else they can't, contribute to the conversation. And especially like for jobs that I've had, you have to watch these things. You have to watch them. You have to know what they are. You have to talk about them. And I can't afford that. I don't get paid enough for that.
No, not at all. Or even with someone who doesn't need to talk about it, just does it for fun. Like, I want to be able to watch all this stuff, and a lot of the time I do enjoy spending all of my free time on all of these new shows.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, I don't have a lot of that free time. I can't devote all of my life to 15 different shows that are running or not even concurrently, because there's not that much of it, but all of these different stuff that I want to.
I can't binge every show every single night. I can't binge the show that I've been waiting for, in one day, or else. But if I don't, then it'll get canceled. Like, right. I can't, like, that doesn't work.
I was about to say, like, you could be smart and parcel it out and watch it once a day or once a week, but if you do that, then the streaming service is going to take that as, oh, people don't like this show.
And also, so there are some people who will binge it, and it'll get spoiled for you on social media. Or the people, you won't be able to talk to people about, oh my god, I just watched this awesome episode, because people will be like, oh yeah, I finished the whole show. Can't talk about it. Or
even it's just the consciousness of, you open the page of the show, you see all of it, and you immediately experience the fear of missing out. Because you want to have seen all of it immediately if it's all dumped there.
Yeah.
And if it's just one episode, it's also easy to digest. And just psychologically, it's easier to devote an hour of your time to something or less.
Right.
Rather than 8 hours.
But the streaming model doesn't just hurt TV, it also hurts movies.
Yes.
And, movie theaters are dying. This is no revelation. We all know this, but they're dying. Why? They're dying because you can watch new movies at home from your streaming service and pay for them. They're dying because, well, a lot of that was, enacted because of COVID.
And a lot of the time you can watch a movie months after it's been released in theaters in your own home.
Oh, not even months. In 1 month later, it was released, and then you can watch it in your home. And
so why go to the theater when you can just not necessarily watch it for free, but
exactly,
at least you don't have to drive anywhere.
I can't tell you how many movies I've been like, oh, that looks interesting, but I don't feel like going to the theater for that, so I'll just wait till it comes on streaming. I just have to wait because I just have to wait 2 months, and then I can watch it at home, and that hurts, the box office. That hurts the money that these movies are making, and it makes the executives not want to make those movies anymore, and the studios not want to make those movies anymore.
Or even not necessarily us, because we watch everything, but a lot of these streaming shows have been packaged as this long form movie, and when people see that, just general audiences, they can say, hey, I'd rather just sit at home and watch this long form movie rather than paying a whole bunch of money to go to a theater and just watch a regular movie.
For sure. And it's, I don't know, it feels unsustainable. It feels like everyone
Especially
I know,
with how expensive these shows are.
Yeah. Everyone I know in the industry is completely convinced that we're on the brink of something has to give.
Yeah, the bubble's going to burst.
Yeah, because this is not sustainable. Normal American households cannot afford the amount that we have to pay for streaming every month. People don't want to go to the movies anymore, but they don't want to pay all this money for streaming services either. And it's just, something is gotta give.
I should have done research into this, but it's just honestly my own personal interpretation. But I can guarantee you more people are going to learn how to use piracy websites, and they're just going to turn to that.
I don't. I think.
I mean, there's a massive crackdown from the FBI with that, which is a whole other topic entirely.
I'm sure there is, but I don't think that that's the quote unquote bubble that's going to burst. Like, people already do that, and people who will risk that are already doing that. There's so many Americans who, and not even Americans, there's so many people in the world who are too, like, either they're not I'm not going to say lazy, but they don't want to go, not just lazy, but they don't want to go pirate these things. They want to support this content with their money because it is things that they like. They want to support the art. Yeah. And you can't do piracy websites on your TV. People like to watch TV on their television. And I mean, you can Chromecast it or whatever. You can AirPlay it to it,
but as soon as you add steps, that turns to the lazy people, which often, I'm very lazy. As soon as you add steps, I become very uninterested.
What I think is going to happen, which is I've, told this to many people, and many people I know also think this is going to happen, that one of the streaming networks, probably Netflix, is going to start. Well, these companies are already losing money, not Netflix. Netflix is not losing money. Netflix is actually gaining money. They are actually making their profit.
That's surprising because they spend so much money.
Yeah, they spend a lot of money, but they also outsource to other studios who will make money, who will make the products for them.
I did hear, I don't know, like, I'm not too knowledgeable about this topic, but I did hear like the whole Netflix model of you pay a little bit of money to some people and then they fund the actual project and then they just put it on Netflix.
Yeah. Netflix acts as a they're the streamer. They're the distributor. They're not the producers. They're not the creators.
They don't step in.
They're the studio and they distribute it. And that's like, I happen to know a lot about how movies get made.
You're in that industry.
I do work in that industry, or I did until recently. But they're going, these other companies who used to be the big giants in the TV industry. They're losing money. Peacock lost a lot of money last quarter. HBO, Max, Discovery, whatever the Discovery Plus, whatever the fuck they are, Warner Brothers, they lost a lot of money in this last year. And these companies are going to start losing so much money because people don't want to subscribe to all of these services.
No, and they can't.
They can't afford it. So they're going to end up, maybe not their companies being bought up at first, but they're going to start leasing more of their shows, more of their products to Netflix, and Netflix is going to be buying them up, and Netflix has already started to add ads. They're going to start doing, quote unquote, they're like the little tags at the top of Disney Plus and, Peacock, where they have all the old channels, what the channels used to be. And they're going to add some of those to Netflix, and you're going to be able to pick your channel, and you're going to go on there and you're going to watch your thing, and it's going to be just like cable. Yep. They're going to start to bundle together, and you're going to pay a set price for all of them. And it's going to be just like cable, but more expensive.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to happen. That's not even me like projecting that. That has already started to happen, and that is where the industry is going.
Yeah, it's very clear that like we almost can't stop that's where we're headed.
Yeah,
which really, really, really sucks. But TV is still fun to watch sometimes.
That's not the note we're gonna end on. These streaming services and networks, they are, they take advantage of people because they can and because they want to make money. All these CEOs.
Yeah. And it's not even when like you say streaming service, but it's specifically the CEOs, because there are still creatives and artists.
The boards.
Yeah,
the people
that...
who are working for those,
Mm-hmm.
the people who are making shows and making art, they get paid shit. That's why they had to do all those strikes last year, and that's why the animation union is on a strike right now.
And then the Video Game Guild is also doing that. Like, it's entirely ridiculous, and obviously they
get walked all over. They get paid fucking pennies,
and it's also that a handful of CEOs can continue to make 50 billion or whatever the fuck they make a year,
right? And something that Adam Conover said in his video that I really resonated with was, we need to stop falling for this.
Yes.
We need to, like, there's nothing we can do now about television, but we need to identify this is what's happening before it becomes where we are with TV now. There's no choice.
And it cannot be understated how much power we as the audience have, because whatever is being seen, that's what is being made.
They're all doing it for your view.
Because you give them money.
Yeah. Your attention is what pays them. You watching ads, you watching their product is what gives them money. And
so if we just wisen up, maybe we can fix it. Optimistic, glass half full.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not the optimistic one of the pair of us.
I'm not even that optimistic in real life. It's just on the podcast I am, I guess.
Sure. I can dig it.
Honestly, is there too much else to say with streaming?
I mean,
we could talk in circles about it forever.
We could, honestly. But I think
we've discussed everything. I think we've discussed all the topics. And with that, it's time to move on to the consumption corner, where we're just starved for content. And Sasha, we have consumed something together.
Yes. You showed me a movie last night, and this was actually at the prompt of your girlfriend, who recommended that I watch Elemental, because it was something that I'd been meaning to see forever, but I didn't want to go to the theater and see it. And I thought, hey, I'll just wait till it's on streaming, and then I just never watched it.
Like a lot of people.
And when Elemental came out, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it got, like, review bombed.
Yeah, a lot of people hated it for no reason.
Why?
It also
I'll just say this
horribly.
off the bat, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I adored it. Oh my gosh. It was Inside Out meets Zootopia. It was Up. It was great. I freaking loved it.
It was such a simple concept that is executed so well. Like all of the other Pixar movies, I'll tell you, it has become my girlfriend's comfort movie of late. A bunch of other Pixar movies have kind of served that role, but I've seen Elemental at least a half dozen times now, and every time I gain a new appreciation for it and notice something new. And whether that be the themes of respecting tradition while also moving on, or something, racially motivated that's really well executed, it's just a phenomenal movie.
It was just so good. And I kicked myself because I hadn't seen it earlier. But also the first thing I said when the movie was over was how fucking devastating that Pixar has said after this movie came out,
because of this
movie in part, they've said, we're going to focus less on specific stories told by specific artists and directors and animators, and we want to focus more on mass market appeal and sequels,
which is just
existing IP. I want to kill myself.
We had this exact conversation last night.
Yeah.
Because I cannot deny I'm excited for Brad Bird's Incredibles 3.
I had no idea that was coming out.
It's coming. But why are we getting that when we could just get something new and original from Brad Bird or any other storyteller?
The Incredibles 1 is so good. Why? Because it was an original story that was told, and it was it had something to say.
Right.
I'm sorry, but what did The Incredibles 2 had to say? Nothing.
I'll tell you what it had to say. Brad Bird got a whole big old check. Like, that's all that happened.
It was a fun
And you could
movie,
tell that he was not motivated to make
Yeah.
it. And he probably won't be motivated to make the third. Maybe it'll be good. Who knows? And there's also Toy Story 5.
No!
Yeah, that's
Stop
happening.
it. I didn't even watch Toy Story 4.
And it's good, but also, I think we've had this exact conversation on the podcast, but the same thing happened with Toy Story 3. Everyone was like, no, first two are perfect. The third's fantastic. The fourth is fine. It made me cry, so there's that. But I don't want to see a Toy Story 5.
I don't want to see anything else that's, a sequel. I want something new. God.
And it shouldn't be hard to say that you want something new, because obviously, like...
And it's not just I want something new. I want new people to be able to tell their stories, to tell stories that they want to tell, not telling a story. Sorry, that's not even a story. Not just making product for a machine to sell and make money off of. I want art. I want stories. I want something new that's going to impact me as much as seeing Elemental did.
And just because something is labeled or slapped with a 2 or is just a sequel or part of a franchise, it doesn't mean that it's immediately discounted.
No.
But you're immediately hesitant. That's the problem.
I think Hollywood is too reliant on existing IP for for new products, I guess. But
for content, because that's what they think
But that's nothing new. They've always been like that.
Right. It's always been remakes, sequels, franchise, reboots.
Yes, but there's always
since the dawn of it.
But there's always been space for new stories to be told within those structures. And the problem is that is getting smaller and smaller. That space is getting smaller and smaller.
Right.
Because they don't want to take a chance with their investment.
Or even that space is getting smaller and smaller within blockbusters, within what general audiences is what they see. Which is really sad to say, because people should be watching original stories. Otherwise, if they watch the same thing over and over and over again, they're just going to get dumb, which is what's happening.
I mean, this is all to say, this is just with the big studios. There's always places you can go to
A24, Neon, they're all great.
Sundance Films, like, get Mubi. Anybody, if you want a new streaming service, get Mubi. It will, this is not a spawn, by the way, but it has, things that you've never thought to watch before.
Or you don't like horror, but again, not sponsored.
I do not like horror.
But Shudder is fantastic.
Horror. Shudder's good. I just don't like the horror that you like. There's plenty of horror that I like.
I like all horror, which includes the very nasty stuff.
I don't like body horror.
Neither do I.
Like weird.
But I also like when something scares me.
No.
If something manages to scare me, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
I want to be uncomfortable. I want to be psychologically tormented, but I don't want to go, ugh. I don't want to go, ew, disgusting, and close my eyes.
One that is complete opposite of body horror that I've been meaning to watch recently is Misery. I can just add that to Consumption Corner, because I'll probably watch that.
You can't talk about something you haven't watched yet.
Oh, I will. It? No, but no, I have.
You're not talking about this.
I have
Strike
seen
it from the record. Oh, you have seen it.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought you hadn't seen it.
No, Celie hasn't seen it, and I was gonna make her rewatch it sometime, but then probably shouldn't say this, but we tried to pirate it, and the internet wasn't great.
Who cares?
No one listens.
Someone's gonna come after you.
Oh god, the FBI! They bust down the door. But no, Misery's a great horror movie. It's just tense. I do like those tension-filled horror movies a lot more than body horror.
For sure.
But
that's where I live.
What's anything else that you've been consuming? Probably not much, because we just recorded.
We are on a recording spree. We're recording all these episodes on top of each other, so I haven't had time to watch anything new.
I don't know if that's obvious from how I'll space out the episodes, but But yeah, I just talked about it in the last episode, but I watched the 3 new episodes, which I had no idea they were dropping that many, of the second season of Rings of Power, and I really enjoyed it.
Ooh. I gotta get on that.
Yeah. I mean, fantastic visual effects. It needs to be because...
Yeah, because they spent fucking billions of dollars on it.
I want to say, I'm probably wrong, but this is the most expensive show ever made.
No, it is. You're absolutely correct.
It's
the most expensive streaming show ever made. I think it was literally $1 million. No.
I think you're right. Like,
was it $1 billion?
Like 15 million an episode? Or...
Yeah.
No, I think that was The Mandalorian. But
$1 billion for the... No, that was just to build the thing.
Was it? I thought I heard some article saying that it was like 15 million for every single episode.
I don't know, but Rings of Power, what the first season was trotted as the most expensive streaming show ever made. So,
which we were just talking about how that is a horrible business model. It's going to crash.
Terrible.
But I enjoyed Rings of Power. I turned my brain off and I had fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about it, but it does step on the toes of the lore a little bit, but I don't care. I'm not that big of a fan of Lord of the Rings.
How dare you, sir?
I'm sorry.
How dare you? I'm taking back my bow. You can't have it.
No, my broadsword too.
No, it's fine. I'm not that crazy about it. I love it, but I'm not a crazy
like
lore
most,
fanatic.
Yeah, nerdy fandom stuff. I'm full into it, but not about to dress up as Legolas or anything.
I'll dress up as a potato. Potato.
Mashed potatoes.
It's
mash
potato. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
This has been a podcast where we boil them, mash them, put them in a stew.
Stick them in a stew.